the No Panic Zone. I'm Steve Gruber. I'm America's voice. I'm an America First guy. I'm one to call it as I see it every day. You may like it, you may not, but that's the way we roll around here. So let's get to it. Here are three big things you need to know right now. Number one, the thousands that lost their jobs when Joe Biden destroyed the Keystone XL pipeline are far more than you've ever been told. The damage was massive. We'll get to that. Number two, Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans are so far keeping their word to the American people and cleaning up the socialist mess found all over Washington. I will explain. And number three, the Democrats and their handmaidens in the corporate media are working overtime, just as I promised, to discredit Republicans, undermine Kevin McCarthy, and do their level best to distract you from the bombshell report that President Joe Biden had top-secret classified documents in an office for the Penn Biden Center, where he did basically nothing to be called a visiting professor or some such rot. He never taught a class. Never taught a class. But Joe Biden did attack President Trump over and over again after classified documents were found in his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida, both before and after an FBI raid directed by the Justice Department. Attorney General Merrick Garland and company executed an FBI SWAT team to go in there. The Democrats know this will let Trump off the hook. So they're in full-blown panic, trying desperately to figure out how to keep the Trump as a reckless traitor narrative alive. Well, they know it is dying with the American people. This is about the most blatant double standard I've ever seen in all my years following politics. And let's be honest, that's saying a lot of things, a hell of a lot. Even the friendly media outlets know there is blood in the water. And they're looking for answers, too. Reporters were hammering Joe Biden with questions about classified documents as he spoke with Justin Trudeau, but no matter what they asked, he demurred and smiled. Listen.
Years, but I never.
All right, guys, let's head out. TV, we can start moving. Thanks, guys. Your audio on.
Yeah, they're all asking questions. He's just smiling and talking to Justin Trudeau about what he has no idea. Because Joe Biden is an incompetent boob, with or without dementia. Joe Biden, they're meeting with the leaders of Mexico and Canada, but he is not taking questions. However, he did have something to say about it all. But it's clear he doesn't think it matters much, these papers that have been found. Yeah, President Biden totally disregarding his possession of classified documents is no big deal. You know, this was kept secret since before the midterm elections back in November. They knew about it then. Nobody's ever reported on it. Listen.
People know I take classified documents and classified information seriously. When my lawyers were clearing out my office at the University of Pennsylvania, they set up an office for me, secure office in the Capitol. The 4 years after being vice president, I was a professor at Penn. They found some documents in a box in a locked cabinet, or at least a closet. And as soon as they did, they realized there were several classified documents in that box. And they did what they should have done. They immediately called the archives, turned them over to the archives, and I was briefed about this discovery and surprised to learn that there were any government records that were taken there to that office. But I don't know what's in the documents. My lawyers have not suggested I ask what documents they were. I've turned over the boxes. They've turned over the boxes to the archives, and we're cooperating fully with the review, and which I hope will be finished soon, and there'll be more detail at that time.
You know, what's strange about that, all of that? A few things. Biden had those documents for years, right? And according to CNN, had them marked personal. They were in folders marked personal. Had them for a long time. So that also puts him in a tough spot. I mean, not really tough. It's not like the media is going to push very hard. Just enough to make it look good so they can get back to attacking Donald Trump and smearing Republicans, which is all they know how to do anymore, actually, anyway. So they're not going to spend a hell of a lot of time on this. But Joe Biden, the very office that the classified documents were found, claimed he had no such thing. No such thing did he have back in 2018. Listen to this.
In 2018, Joe Biden addressed his access to classified information in an interview with me. This was in the context of Russia's interference in U.S. elections, and it was in that office, the Penn Biden Center.
I don't have access to classified information anymore. I don't get briefed every morning by the agency, as I did for 8 years.
Oh, but you do because you have these documents. You see, I don't believe that anything found at Mar-a-Lago was probably that significant. I don't believe that anything found in Joe Biden's possession is that significant. They're just trying to turn it into something to use, to manufacture against the former President Donald Trump. And the White House, as I mentioned a moment ago, has known about the discovery of the documents since November. In fact, 6 days before the midterm elections, I've read. But magically, it was never in the news and never reported until after Congress is sworn in. I mean, how convenient is that? It's like magic. Hunter Biden's laptop vanishes before a critical election. So does Joe Biden's collection of classified documents kept in his office, an office named for him. And nobody wants to talk about it. Remarkable, really. MSNBC reporters are sharing with viewers is that the White House knew about Joe Biden's classified documents problem for at least 2 months and is asking, why are they hiding it? Same question I'm asking. Listen.
Well, clearly there's going to be some political concern here. The president gearing up for a potential launch of his reelection campaign, and now you have hanging over them this legal cloud. But it was interesting and I think important to note that White House advisors at the highest levels would have known that this issue was ongoing for at least 2 months, given the timeline we were given from the White House yesterday. And so I think one of the questions is about why they've waited for this story to sort of break in the news on its own versus being fully transparent, disclosing this as soon as it happened 2 months ago. That's one of the many questions I think reporters are going to be trying to ask when we see President Biden later today. He will be delivering statements with the other two leaders here and taking a question from each of the respective press corps here. But obviously there's a lot of other topics to ask about as well. But it'll be our first chance to see if he'll weigh in on this one, Jose.
So the propaganda spin machines have gone into industrial mode. I mean, this mess has to be cleaned up before Joe has to make his announcement that he'll be running for a second term at the young age of 156. He's got to be up for the fight, right? He's got to be ready. And no matter where you look, some people are asking questions, but just enough to put a thin coat of veneer over all of this. That's all. Just a thin coat of veneer. That's all this is. So they can say, well, yeah, but this is different than what Donald Trump did. You see, because what Trump did was... What Trump did over here was... It's all nonsense. It's all hogwash. It's all crap, frankly. Well, Trump had 300 documents. Yeah, and he was the president. He had the ability to declassify. That's his claim. It happens to be legitimate. Joe Biden was the vice president. He had no ability to declassify anything. Joe Biden had no right to have that in his possession at all. Therein lies the difference. You'll never be told that. Doesn't matter. And again, I doubt that much of this is very significant at all. It's just political theater for you, a distraction from the fact that they're bulldozing farms and getting rid of fertilizer and trying to turn power plants into windmills. All that stuff on the side. But hey, I'm just saying. I'll be right back.